What civilian skill shocked your military commander? I spent 5 years as a professional locksmith in Detroit. Not exactly something you put on your military resume, but it came in handy during my first deployment to Iraq. We were stuck outside a suspected insurgent safe house in Fallujah. Intel said there were weapons caches inside, but the place was locked up tighter than Fort Knox. Heavy steel door, multiple deadbolts, the kind of security that screams, "We're hiding something important." Our breach team was setting up explosives. Standard procedure. Blow the door, rush in, secure the area. Problem was, this house sat between two civilian homes with families inside. Kids sleeping 10 feet away. Lieutenant Colonel Barnes was getting impatient. "We need entry in 15 minutes or we abort the mission." That's when I stepped forward. "Sir, I might have another option." He looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "You're a radio operator, Jackson. What could you possibly know about breaching?" I pulled out my personal lockpick set, still carried it out of habit. "I used to do this for a living, sir. Give me 5 minutes with that door." The whole squad started laughing. Even the explosives guy was shaking his head. "This isn't some suburban house call, radio boy. This is military-grade security." Colonel Barnes was skeptical but curious. "You're telling me you can pick locks that sophisticated?" "Sir, I've opened bank vaults, police evidence rooms, federal buildings. Detroit locksmiths don't mess around. This door might be heavy, but the lock mechanism is still just pins and tumblers." He checked his watch. "You get 2 minutes. If you can't open it, we go with explosives." I knelt down and examined the locks. 3 deadbolts, all different manufacturers. But I'd seen this setup before. Drug dealers in Detroit loved this exact configuration. Started with the bottom lock, felt the pins clicking into place. First one opened in 30 seconds. Middle lock was trickier, European design, but muscle memory kicked in. Another minute gone. The top lock was the real challenge. High security cylinder, anti-pick pins, the works. But I'd cracked identical locks during repo jobs back home. 30 seconds left, someone whispered. My hands were steady despite the pressure. This was just another locked door between me and what I needed. Same as repossessing cars from deadbeat customers who changed their locks. Final pin clicked into place. Door swung open silently. No explosions, no noise, no civilian casualties. Colonel Barnes just stared. "Holy shit, Jackson, where did you learn to do that?" "Corner of 8 Mile and Gracie, sir. Roughest locksmith shop in Michigan." The house contained the largest weapons cache we'd found in months. RPGs, IEDs, enough ammunition to supply a small army, all secured without waking the neighbors. Word spread fast. Within a week, I was getting pulled from radio duties for special missions. Anytime they needed quiet entry, they called me. Became the unofficial lock specialist for 3 different units. Colonel Barnes put me in for a commendation. "Most valuable skill I've seen in 20 years of service," he wrote. "Saved more lives than any explosive breach could have." Started teaching classes to other soldiers. Basic lock picking, how to identify different security systems, when to attempt entry versus calling for explosives. Command made it an official training program. The funny part was explaining it to my parents. "So the military is paying you to break into buildings now?" "It's tactical entry, Mom. Completely different." But she had a point. 5 years of midnight lockouts and repo jobs had prepared me for military operations better than any training manual. My old boss back in Detroit thought it was hilarious. Always knew that kid would put his skills to good use, just didn't expect it to be in the army. By the end of deployment, I'd opened over 60 locked doors. No explosives needed, no civilian casualties, missions completed silently and efficiently. Colonel Barnes recommended me for Ranger training. "We need soldiers who think outside the box," he said. "Your civilian experience is exactly what makes you valuable."